We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact. But somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn, when the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise, but most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. And all we can do is remember. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. In memory of those who gave the last full measure of devotion, may our efforts to achieve lasting peace gain strength. Let us make a vow to our dead. Let us show them by our actions that we understand what they died for. By their courage, heartened by their value, and born with their memory. Let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will find our country and all who serve it. We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
Are you looking for?
We've would now like to speak about our guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Yetunde Armalate Safor. She is a board-certified pediatric dentist. She earned her bachelor's degree from West Virginia State University in 1999 and her Doctor of Dental Surgery degree from The Ohio State University in 2003.
Established her own pediatric dental practice in Ohio, beginning with a team of just 3 staff members. Guided by the motto, improving children's lives through dentistry, she has always believed that every child deserves access to quality dental care and a positive experience at every visit.
Today, Canton and Worcester Pediatric Dental Centers have grown to include 6 associate dentists at 24 support staff, collectively providing more than 24,000 patient visits each year. She currently holds hospital privileges at Mercy Medical Center, Cleveland Clinic in Canton, Ohio, and Akron Children's Hospital in Akron, Ohio.
Serving her country through dentistry has been one of her greatest honors. In 2009, Lieutenant Colonel Armalate Safor deployed to Balad, Iraq, providing dental care to soldiers during Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. In 2020, she was mobilized again to Fort Hood, Texas, where she prepared soldiers for deployment.
As commander of the 311th Field Hospital, she led 488 soldiers across 3 cities in Ohio and Indiana. She later became commander of the 810th Medical Company Dental Services, where she helped her unit improve its readiness for deployment. That unit included 91 soldiers based in North Carolina and South Carolina. She currently serves with the Fort Irwin Dental Activity Command in Fort Irwin, California, as an individual mobilization augmentee.
Lieutenant Colonel Armalate Safor has received numerous Army ribbons and awards in recognition of her service. The award she is most proud of is the Meritorious Service Award, presented to her by the 2nd Star General Beth Salisbury in recognition of her leadership as commander of the 311th Field Hospital.
Lieutenant Colonel Armalate Safor is married to Dr. Latif Safor, her college sweetheart, and has 1 daughter, Gabrielle.
We would now like to welcome our guest speaker and Hawken parent, Lieutenant Colonel Yetunde Armalate Safor, to the stage.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the Alpha Company. This is one of my greatest pleasures because I'm able to come to Hawken and talk to the next generation of students and leaders. So many years ago, I decided to bring my child to Hawken. She's a lifer. And over those years, I have seen so much time and energy and work put in by the faculty and the staff and the coaches of Hawken. And so I want to say thank you to you guys for all that you do 365 days out of the year. So it's definitely my honor to be here. Also to my husband, Latif Safor, and my little baby girl, Gabrielle Safor, who's a 10th grader. And I tell you, being a child of someone who's in the military, she has great patience, and she has just been always a positive inspiration for me when I'm going away. And so, Gabrielle, where are you? Stand up. Your mommy appreciates you. All right, so we're getting ready to get down to business and talk about the Army. All right, no worries. All right, so we're going to talk about Army today. And so you guys heard before, I've done a little bit of everything. Combat veteran, and I've done these community missions as well as global care. All right, so today we're going to talk about occupations in the Army, talk about Army dentistry, purpose of the Army, a little bit about my story, and last but not least, a little bit about leadership. Now, I know many of you are sitting there, you're thinking, well, I'm just going to sit back today and just relax and do nothing but listen to Lieutenant Colonel Armalate Safor. Do not worry. This is going to be an interactive 30 to 40 minutes. Yay! I will tell you, I've only done this 6 or 7 times. Oh man. So, All right, let's keep going. All right, so the microphone, is that back or not back? It's calling the okay, all right. So, we'll see. All right, so when you guys think about the Army, there's about 700 people serving in the Army. And there's about 1.3 million people that are currently serving in armed forces. So I want you to think about if you put a line of this 1.3 million people together, and they're in front of the people of the United States. How many people do you think live in the United States? Somebody throw a number out. Oh man, this is a smart crowd here. Yeah. So if you put a lineup of this 1 million people who are serving in the military, and you put behind us 340 million people, what that means is each person in the military is basically carrying the shoulders for 340 Americans. Yeah, so each person. So that is why the job is hard, but we have an outstanding military. Because all volunteers, people who really they want to be there. But what's most impressive is that we can pretty much set up an entire city in one day. Yeah. So you think about that great lawn that we've had so many parties on and different events on. Our United States Army can set up an entire city out there. So you think about a city, all the components you would need. You would have to have like a hospital, right? So they'll have a hospital, they'll have a couple of lawyers, they'll have a couple of dentists, they'll have people doing masonry, they'll have city planners, they'll have mayors, they'll have every single thing you could possibly think of that you would need in the city, including like a laundromat. And so I say that to say that whatever job you choose in your life after Hawken, whether it's a doctor, lawyer, any one of these things I mentioned, you can also do that very same job for the military. You can give yourself to the country. And so that's kind of how I view myself. I'm a dentist. I love being a dentist, but I decided to give my time and my talents, just a little bit of it, to the country as a reservist. So I do that 1 weekend a month. Thank you. Hello? That's very good. All right, so I do this 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer, and that's how I give my time. And for you, you can say, well, okay, I am definitely not going into the military. But once you finish your great careers in one of these professions, you can oftentimes go to the military or reserve and then give that time back. So after you finish doctoring, nursing, lawyering, all those kinds of talents, you can say, you know what, I'm in my 50s, but maybe my talents can also be used for the service. Only caveat to that is you have to have something that the Army needs you to do. All right, so as you're thinking, okay, I'm definitely not going to do the military, but many of you are going to end up working with companies that are in the military. How many of you guys have ever rode on Delta Airlines before? Southwest, JetBlue, Continental. Okay, so who makes those planes a lot of time? Boeing. Boeing makes those planes. So the same company that make the planes for you to travel all over the world, they're making those same planes for the Army. So one of you guys one day could be an executive at Boeing, and you will still be working with the military. So how about Jimmy John's, Panera's? How many of you guys go out to lunch? Okay, everybody. So oftentimes, we have a Jimmy John's down in Macedonia that we own, and probably once a month, every other month, we actually provide sandwiches and lunches to our reserve military down in Shansburg, Ohio. Okay, you don't have to tell me, but do people know about Tesla? Right? Everybody knows about Tesla. Well, right now, our United States Army Reserve Centers have Teslas as their new vehicle. So at one point we had Chryslers and little minivans, but right now they're in Tesla. So when you go to the Army Reserve Center and you need to go out really fast, you're going to get in a little white Tesla, and you're going to go to do whatever mission that you need to do out of your own car, but in our government cars, Tesla sometimes. Last but not least, good old Daryl. Who's been to the dentist? Raise your hand, I hope everybody. Yay! All right, so that dental chair, I use the exact same dental chair that I use in my office. I use that dental chair in the middle of Iraq. So we're buying our equipment from the very same places. So you still have an opportunity to help serve the country, even if you're not in the military, by making sure that the military get the right stuff for the companies that you end up working for. All right, so why? Why is there a dentist in the Army? I've already talked a little bit about setting up the supersized city right on the Great Lawn. Why are there dentists? Well, if you ever have a toothache, you will know a toothache is very debilitating. You can't eat with a really bad toothache. You can't think sometimes with a really bad toothache. And guess what else? You cannot fight for our country with a really bad toothache. And so, as a result of that, dentists are everywhere you go in the military. If there are 5,000 soldiers in one place, I guarantee you, there is a dentist there, there's a physician there, there's a nurse there, because we are the support staff to make sure that our armed forces can get out there and fight and not be debilitated by any injuries, including toothache. Now you're thinking like, up here on very top, I am up here, it says at 1.8 million, this is dollars, per month was spent during Iraqi freedom on the whole dental thing. You're thinking, okay, when the extraction is $500, crowns maybe $2,000. How did our government get to the point of spending $1.8 million per month on dental? That's a lot of money, isn't it? A whole lot of money. I'm going to tell you how. In the military, we never go anywhere by ourselves if you're in a combat zone. You always have your best friend, or also known as your battle buddy. It's going to be two of you guys. So you get a toothache, it's you and your friend, you guys are going to go to the dentist. So now it's two people away. They're going to pay two more people to do the job that you guys are going for. Well, in the military, there's two ways you can get around when you're in combat. One way is that they'll bring some trucks in. You'll get in a big truck, and there'll be a driver, secondary drivers, people in the back, the guys in the back with guns. But as always, you cannot go anywhere by yourself. So guess what? They have a second armed vehicle behind you to help protect. At one toothache, you got two loads of people trying in Iraq to go to this one tooth fix, and that costs money. And they get there, get a tooth fix, and all the same two truckloads of people have to go back to where they come from. All that costs money. The gas, the time, the people, the personnel. Now, when I was in Iraq, sometimes the roads are way too dangerous for you to come down the road. So what they did instead, we would fly places on helicopters. And so you would have a person with a toothache in the front helicopter, pilot, all these other people there surrounding you with weapons, and then a second helicopter to make sure that you guys arrive, that you get your destination safely. So helicopters, food, fuel costs a lot of money. So all that, 1, 2 toothaches a day is costing our government $1.8 million a month. So dentistry became very popular after this. And so currently today, you have to get a dental exam every year. Our government figured out that you pay for your root canal or your extraction here in the US cheaper than taking 2 helicopters and flying you back and forth to the dentist in the middle of Iraq or combat zone. I know it. I'm already looking out here and I see people like, not hurry. We're going to do our first little military exercise. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about military bearing. What does that mean? Military bearing means having presence, having confidence. Military bearing means you do the right thing even when it's hard. It means your job is now not the perfect job, but you still do it and you do it well. That's what military bearing means. It means you don't beat what you don't judge. Now, one of the first things you do with military bearing is how you speak and how you look. So everybody stand to your feet. Come on, Hawkins. Come on. All right. So the first thing about military bearing, I know, Right, so the first thing you have to do if you're going to have great military bearing is you have to look the part. So first thing I want you to do is roll those shoulders back. Good, how's that feel? Feels good? Now, the second thing you have to do, have military veteran, or good military veteran, is lift that chin up, pull your chin up. Pull it up. Good. And then you're gonna look right straight ahead. Good military veteran is ready to lead somebody. It's ready to take care of people. I'll have you turn to your neighbor. Turn to your neighbor, pick somebody. All right. Now, to your wonderful military veteran, your eyes straight back, your eyes forward. You military veteran, I want you, I'm Colonel in the Army, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to bestow on all of you today, all of you guys now Colonel in the Army. So I want you to turn to your neighbor, and you're going to say, my Lord, my name is, you're going to put Colonel, and then your actual last name. You give them a nice good handshake. Go ahead. Be a little bit slumpy, have your legs to the side, and you can't get curl like that. You need to opposite. Turn to your neighbor, shake your hand as your regular loosey handshake, and you grab the hand to where the last hand. Who do you want to follow? Do you know? Shoulders back, head forward, or you don't follow the lieutenant? Who do you want to follow? You want to follow that colonel. Okay. So guess what? You do not have to be in the military to have good military theory. What they call this in the real world is called professionalism and confidence. So if you're in your civilian job, you're here at Hawken, you're leading something, make sure you're looking the part. You are a leader. All your parents have sent you to Hawken because we know you're leaders, and we're here to make sure you get the best education you can lead. So if you're planning on being the boss, if you're planning on helping a lot of people, have that little professionalism that we call them. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about so the Army, okay, what's the purpose of the armed forces? I don't know if this message really gets out to the community very well, but what's the purpose? And I'm going to tell it to you very, very simple. The purpose of the armed forces is to protect our nation. That's it. We're here to protect the nation. Remember that 1.3 million people in the line, with 340 million people behind us, we're here to protect the nation. And so we need a dentist, which is part of Army medicine. Dentistry is part of medicine, the only area of the body where people cut you, remove your teeth, and you stare them straight out. That's why dentistry is stuff to do. That's why I say go there, it's kind of a little bit on the odd side. But what we do is, there's 3 ways in Army medicine and dentistry. And number 1 is serving our combat. Number 2, so whenever we have soldiers someplace, it's somebody taking care of the teeth, we've already mentioned that. The second thing is doing community missions. Yes. So when we're in the military, a lot of times we will go States and do missions. Now, who's been to an area in Cleveland that you received to before? Right? Kind of like, you remember maybe the cars over there were not too good, and you thought the streets were not too good. But the areas that we go to in the military are 10 times worse, and they're right here in the continental United States, and less. All right, so let's go over that. And this is actually a grocery store here. when we got to Pioneer, South Dakota, one of the first things they told us is don't go in the store and buy everything up. Because these people only get shipments every night. Of course, military personnel, we're like, you know what, we want 5 bags of chips, money down, money delivered, money to midnight. And it's like, don't do that. Because this is all these people have. This was their main grocery store on the reservation. And then global care. As a healthcare professional army, we go around the world, and I mean around the world, winning hearts and minds through army medicine and marine industry. And everything like, okay, like, why are we going to these countries? Why are we doing this? Well, we're going to all these countries helping people for number one, it's the right thing to do. If much is given, much is expected. So in this country, we live a very nice life. And we're always to kind of help somebody else that needs something. That's one reason. I'm going to tell you the other reason why we go around the world helping people. We want people in the world to associate kindness, helping. We want to associate that with the American people. So when you go overseas, we don't want anybody to start saying, oh, is that American over there? I hate Americans. And start throwing stuff at you, start trying to kidnap you. We want them to say, oh, that's not American. You know, my uncle died from a dental infection. Remember, one person every year in Ohio dies from a dental infection. That happens. So my uncle died from a dental infection, but the army came in about dentists and, you know, they took all of that to my sister, my cousin, they were fine. They want them to say those kind of things, that Americans are great. We don't want them to attack you. We don't want them to cause you any problems, and we don't want them to hurt soldiers. So that is one of the main reasons why we do community service, also humanitarian missions around the world. All right, so this is a couple pictures of Iraq when I got there. So tell you a short story. So first thing, when you're in the military, they don't tell you where you're going when you're going to war. They don't. Now, I'm sure my commander probably knew, but at that time I was just a dentist, so I didn't know. So they send you some paperwork, they tell you they've already made you a flight. They tell you on Tuesday, go to the airport, here's your flight, you're gonna get down from Seattle to Fort Benning, Georgia. Okay? I have Fort Benning, Georgia, I said, I'm here, they say, good. Don't worry about what's happening next. You just come every day at 7 a.m. and we'll show you when you're leaving, it's gonna be a surprise. Okay? So during that week, they had us train up. We learned about the Iraqi culture that week. They made sure that we could shoot our weapons well. We had to hit 70% of the targets every time we load our guns and show the shoot. And they told us that, they said, hey, guess what? You're a dentist, but if you're in Iraq and something happens, you gotta be ready to shoot and kill. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I am a dentist. I fix teeth and I'm there to fix the soldiers' teeth. They said, no, you need to be ready because there may be moments where you don't have a carload, a million of people that are there to protect you. You have to be able to protect yourself. And I thought to myself, I said, oh God, I hope I don't have to do that. And thank God I never did. But for us, we had to carry 9mm around every single place we went while I was over there, including watching the patients. Packard, pistol on your side. So that week, they never told us, why do you think the military don't tell us we're going to war, where they're going? Any answers out there? Something starts with an S. And the second word starts with an M. Social media. They don't tell us where we're going because they don't want all 500 of us or all 2,000 or all 50 of us going. They don't want us to put it on our social media. Because guess what? Every single country, America, Russia, China, Mexico, Canada, every country is monitoring the internet. And if you tell people that, yeah, you're going to be in the live Iraq on Saturday at 3 o'clock, they're going to post it. They're going to say, I'm so excited, I'm going to Iraq, or I hate that I'm going there, I'll be there on Saturday at 3 o'clock. That information can be seen by anybody in the world, and they can choose to harm us. So they can say, guess what, there's gonna be 500 people on Saturday landing at the airstrip in Balad, Iraq. So they never told us. So we got on this plane, and we went all the way to Iraq, and I got dropped off in Balad. And that's when I knew I was gonna be in Balad. Balad had about 3,500 soldiers on the base. There was about 7 dentists who actually worked, and there was an administrative dentist and an assistant administrative dentist there. All right, so this is what happened probably my first or second day in Iraq. So I'm walking back by the dental clinic to eat to the dental clinic, and I hear, incoming, incoming, incoming. I'm like, whoa. So there was a cement box, like on the corners of all these roads over there, and everybody ran and got a little cement box. And we waited. They said, all clear, all clear. So I came out of that box. The next thing I had to do, I had to go tell my commander that I was actually still living. That's weird, I'm telling you. So I went there and said, hey, I'm still alive. I'm still here, I'm okay. And so probably that day or the next day, I realized I got myself into a situation. This is a stressful situation. And on top of that, guess what? In Iraq, there was no lighting. It was black dark at nighttime. You couldn't see anything. We don't realize how much light there is here in America. There's strip malls, there's lights on the highway, your neighbor has all their lights on. But over in Iraq, where I was, there was no lighting. It was black dark everywhere. When you're in Iraq, everything is brown. The street was brown, the air was brown, as you see here, everything was brown. I never appreciated the blue sky we have here in America with the green grass and those orange colored leaves this time of year. Because guess what? In Iraq, there was nothing. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm in a bad situation here. Not really a bad one, but a stressful one. And I said, what can I do in this situation? So I had to do something, because this is pretty bad. So I thought to myself, I said, hey, first thing I can do is start getting some kind of exercise in, or some type of physical activity where I can turn off all this stressful energy. So one of the first things I did was, I went to salsa dancing class. Yes, they have salsa dancing class. Whatever talents they are, somebody in the military, they can go teach that class. So Tuesday was my salsa class. That probably wasn't enough because I had 24 hours in a day. So at lunchtime, I just started going to the pool. They had an indoor pool, just the outdoor pool. They had an indoor pool, and I couldn't swim. So while I was there every day at lunchtime, we had Turkish lifeguards there. I would go to the pool, he would give me a tip, and I would practice my swimming. So when I left Iraq, I knew how to swim, and I knew how to salsa dance. One more thing I did that was physical. Back in the day, when you ran the 5K, you didn't get a t-shirt unless you actually did good in the race. So they would only give out like the first 50 people would get a t-shirt. The first 75 people would get a t-shirt. There'd be 400 or 500 people in the race, but if you won the top 50, sorry for your luck, you ain't getting a t-shirt. And so the first few races, I was like, I don't like this. I'm up here in this race and I don't get a t-shirt. So I started doing some self-training. And so my goal was to get a t-shirt before I left these 5Ks. All right, so this is a picture of me coming back from Iraq. And these are my bags. In the military, wherever you go, you have to carry your own stuff. So you can carry 10 bags, you can have 10 bags. But if you can't carry 10 bags, you won't. Because there is no valet service in the military. And then right here, these are Iraqi dentists. You know that humanitarian stuff that the doctor is talking about? This is me doing a lecture about dentistry to the Iraqi dentists. Because once again, we want to share our information with other people. All right, fighting during wartime. So lesson I learned there was stop, assess what you have, what I had, and then trust yourself. You have everything that you need right on the inside of yourself. And guess what? Don't let fear be a leader. You can't let the fear be a leader. So I had choices in Iraq. I could have sat there and like, oh, this is the worst place ever. I'm going to go Iraq and serve my country, but I was very scared. But instead, think about what you can do physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I know Mr. Newman told me that Alpha Company oftentimes send books places. So what I did for my mental, emotional health, every couple of days went to one of those like book centers and I got a book. I'll read that book, take it back, and another one. So all those things that people use for the service members are really helpful. That was helpful for me to go over there and get a book. All right, second thing, humanitarian mission. This right here was a 100%, she was 100% Native Americans. Her mother and father was Franklin and Washington. Because most of Native Americans on the reservation, they had been mixed, and, you know, they were not 100%. But she was very, very proud that she was 100% Sioux Indian. And so our goal with these humanitarian missions locally is that we go to places that where our services are needed. Now, I'm already a dentist, so I'm already trained, but there are dental assistants, there are people like surgery assistants, there are people who are military police in the military, but in real life they work at Best Buy. So what we do is we go to these places and they get to train on whatever they need training on. So my dental assistant, I train them for those 2 weeks. For that military police person, he learned how to, search cars and whatever else he needed to do. So we go those places to learn. So this right here, okay, I took a picture of this when I was there because you can actually see through this car. And I know how you guys think about the highway here in Ohio and Cleveland. Have you ever seen a car you can see through? Because that's how much bus was on it. I've never seen that before. So I took a picture of this. And then you can't see this, but there is a little baby in the backseat of this car. There's another one here. And I looked in the car, and that baby was perfectly placed in the car seat and happy as a can. And on that day, I realized it doesn't matter how many friends you have or you don't have. Everyone loves their children the same way. And it's not up to me or anybody else to say, well, this car is really bad. I can't believe she drives her little kid around with a bad car. Because this mother, she loves her kids. She did the best she could do. Those kids are perfectly in their car seats. Because she didn't want her kids to get hurt on the reservation by her driving around, despite the fact that her shoes. And I said, wow, that's a mom. Now, on the reservation, this is actually not in the reservation, it's like about 40 miles away. For the Native Americans, this is one of their heroes. Anybody know who this hero is? Crazy Horse. Who's ever heard of Crazy Horse? You people? Okay, good. So, Crazy Horse was one of the Native Americans who defeated General Custer. Alright? So he defeated him, and it was him and Sid Wool. And it was really big because this guy, he's very well respected because he wanted to protect his land, his country, his people. And when people talk about Crazy Horse, they speak of somebody who's brave. And this guy is brave in that community. So this is actually a monument they're trying to build. So about 10 miles away from Crazy Horse is Mount Rushmore. Okay? And so the Native American people said, well, if they have Mount Rushmore, the people who they idol, we're going to make our own, and we're going to do Crazy Horse. And so they've been building this since 1948. The family that started it, they're still working on it. Their grandkids are working on it. And they decided they will not take any money from the U.S. government to finish this. They want to do it on their own. So they only take donations, and their goal is to have this completed. And they don't know when it's going to happen because they do it on their own. They're independent. They don't want a handout. That probably contradicts everything you probably ever heard about Native Americans. I'm not sure these stereotypes you've heard, but they are very independent people. And then this right here is some of the Native Americans and their dog. And one part of our briefing, every time we go to any country, any area, we have a briefing about the people and how they feel and what things are. So the Native Americans that are on the Sioux Reservation, they highly regard the dogs, just like we do. And we were told, do not touch their dogs, don't kick their dogs, don't do anything with their dogs, because if you do, it's going to be a problem. And I think many of us are the same way. Your animal is part of your family. So that was us on Irish Revolution. All right, so Global Honduras. I'll go to this one. Basically, we served it all over. These people were standing in line. They were literally standing pelvis to pelvis. because they want to be touched by Americans. Because all over the world, people know Americans are good providers and good doctors and stuff. This little girl here, I saw her 2002, and she came back the next day and she told every single person, the kids, she said, you know what, she took my tooth out and I slept like a baby. And so that for me was phenomenal. To have a 5 or 6-year-old saying that you were good. And so what I liked from that was when you do right by people, your actions always equal louder than your will. Be kind, trusting, and then just make sure that these people the best you can regardless of the culture of the place that they are. All right, so we're gonna do a quick little mother military exercise. It'll be nice and fast. All right, I'm not everybody stand up. All right, I know, come on, you can do it. I got this. Yeah. All right. So you probably feel outside the military. We are always